Welcome to the Miniatures Paintbrush. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the Crystal Brush entries and my favorite artists that were competing in that. But first up, a little bit of hobby progress. I finished the Shakristan War Shrine. Which I'm really proud of. I like the way it turned out. I love all the details. I loved putting it together. It took me quite a bit of time to do it. A lot of different techniques were used in there, and it was really fun to do. Now, it's over here, and last time I did last week, the volume kind of went wonky when I actually put the camera angled and show everything. So I'm not going to do that this time, but I did take pictures in my studio with the camera, and I posted them up on the Miniatures Paintbrush Legion on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, check us out at the Miniatures Paintbrush Legion. I'll try to get a link in the description for you to check out the pictures all in the details that I had written there. So that's it for hobby progress, something I'm really proud of, and was actually sort of a palate cleanser because I was looking at the Night Titan and working on Night Titan so much that I kind of needed a breather, and that was my breather up there. And this is just part of the pieces that I actually, I broke my code. I opened a whole bunch of different boxes in the summertime because my airbrush, this one right here, had broken. This bottom piece just came off, and well, I had nothing to do in the summertime, and me being a teacher and I had time off, you know, that's the time where I can get some serious hobbying done, and I didn't have the time. So in the meantime, what I did was I started priming stuff, getting ready for when the airbrush came. Week 1 passed, no airbrush. Week 2 passed, no airbrush. Week 3 passed, no airbrush. I waited almost a month to get my airbrush back, but then my summer was over and I had to get into the school year, and knowing teaching, well, once you start the school year, you don't have much time, if any time at all. So I'm lucky I had enough time to finish this, and I'm very proud of that piece. But next up is back to that Night Titan. Hello, Mr. Night Titan. There we go. Hi. All right, anyway. So that's going back to that project, doing some freehand and stuff like that, trying to really go for that Nova Open competition level quality. So let's get into our main topic after the news. Let's talk a little bit about the news. Let's start off with the rumor engine. Now, I looked at the rumor engine picture, and if you go to Games Workshop website, you can check out the rumor engine's picture, and you're going to see like an interwoven face as well as flesh and stuff like that. So I'm going to call it just really easily. It has to be Drukhari because they're nasty. They're straight nasty. If they capture you, the Drukhari, in the lore, they just torture you for fun. They just want to, keep on poking and prodding and stretching and stuff like that. And they'll just wear your skin because they're sick. All right? That's the sick elves. That's what I call them. So that's what I'm going to call that. You heard it here first, folks. Rumor engine is being called a Miniatures Paintbrush. It has to be Drukhari. All right? I hope I'm right with that. All right, another thing on the news. On April 1st, I knew Games Workshop was going to do a joke. I wanted to see what the joke might be, and it was to my pleasant surprise that they came out with the iServe Pro. Now, this is like a servo skull, and if you guys don't know 40K lore, after service for many years, they take what's left of you. If you're lucky, they take what's left of you to do menial tasks. You're just like floating skull that goes over and just does like one thing. So like if your job was to open a door, you'll open the door until you can no longer function anymore. And they actually take your skull, and you're like, yay, you know what? You could either be in service or be with the 20 billion skulls that are get thrown away and tossed away. So what do? Open a door. And they take away all your thoughts and emotions to the point where all you think about is opening that door. But then again, think about it. If they didn't take away all your thoughts and emotion and all you did was open and close the door for the next 10,000 years, I don't know which one's worse, death or that, right? Anyway, Servo Pro was hilarious. And if you could check out Warhammer TV's YouTube channel, You can check that out, or you can get onto the Warhammer community website and check that out as well. Hilarious, saying it has the voice of Duncan in it. And if you go to the Warhammer community page, you'll actually see that you can actually ask the iServe Pro questions, and it's hobby related questions that you can ask it. So I asked mine, and my question was, and I wrote it down, my question was, what was the best way to convert Haldor Icepelt into Ragnar Blackmane? This is one of my passion projects that I'm going to be doing. I actually have Haldor, another copy. I have 2 copies of Haldor Icepelt. One that came into the Tooth and Claw box set, and another one that I bought just for a Ragnar Blackmane conversion. Now, since then, I was looking insanely for what the perfect head might be for that conversion. Right, I found one that would work really, really, really well. And then my search for a top knot came about, and I looked everywhere. My buddy Corbin actually helped me out with a top knot there. I'm also looking for some braided stuff. I think I'm going to take some from my other Space Wolves, see if I can get some braided hair coming down to the side. Not a big deal. And what I'm going to have to do is get a shoulder pauldron that would look like Ragnar's shoulder pauldron with the golden wolf on one side, and then I have to make a pelt on the other side and kind of let it flow out back. I would play with something like that, but I didn't know how to go about it. I'm curious what the iServe Pro, what answer they might come up with. I think it would be great. Maybe it'll be on the Warhammer TV, and Duncan will do a conversion right there for us. But if they do, it came from me. Hey, this guy. All right, so in other news, Battle Sister Bulletin. Now, let me tell you something. I do not want to start another army. I don't want to start another army because I have an army that I haven't even touched yet. I actually have several armies that I haven't even touched yet, and they are armies, and they're not touched. All right, so there's no business for me getting another one. But if I were to start another army, I think the Battle Sisters, man, the Sisters of Battle are just wow. They're amazing. The new sculpts are amazing. I love the angelic feel. Like, I have Stormcast because they remind me of angels, and I just love that kind of look. Angel of Death, but hey, that's the way I do, because that's Celestial Vindicators. All right. I think that's going to be the call sign. Celestial Vindicators. All right, anyway. I got to work on that. We have the Wings Seraphon, which really is enticing. However, I do not want to start a new army at all. All right, another news, Warhammer Underworld's organized playbox has just come out. Now, I used to love these things because I used to run the competitions at my old gaming store. I since moved to a new local friendly gaming store, and the interest in Warhammer Underworlds is not as prevalent. Not that it was. I have like 8 players or something like that total, I think, in the last one. But, we have like very little players in the new one, new store that I actually do my painting class at. So I think I might want to start off something there and maybe spark some interest and get some Warhammer Underworlds going, because I really love the game. It's quick, it's easy. There's strategy with the cards. I get to paint up a whole bunch of warbands and just have a whole bunch of fun. I really like the Warhammer Underworld series. I like what they did with it. I like that it's an easier game to get into. So if you're intimidated by a whole wargaming thing, this is definitely a gateway game, a game that'll get you into the hobby. So, I have a teacher friend of mine who loves board games. I think this would be right up his alley, and I'd love to invite him over to play that game. So within this Warhammer World organized playset, you have some new art alternative cards for Molly and the Mighty, and those are the trolls that actually I have the set for. And then the Godsworn Hunt also has alternative cards. They also come with laser cut acrylic guard tokens, and they're in translucent green, so the tokens are, and it's nice to have those acrylic tokens when you play the game. Next, you have the Nullstone Dagger. And the Nullstone Dagger is actually, it actually has a range of 1, 3 hitting on swords, 3 swords, 3 dice. and it has a power of 2, a striking power of 2. You can also re-roll one attack dice if you are fighting against a wizard. That's the same for the Nullstone Spear that we'll talk about in just a bit. Also, with the Nullstone Dagger, if you get an exclamation point, you get critical, that is, you actually gain cleave to the attack. So you can imagine, really deadly against wizard, really making the non-wizard warbands valuable and accessible and a threat to the new Nightvault game from Shadespire. So that's really, really cool. Nullstone Spear, range of 2, hitting on hammers, 2 hammers, and a damage of 2. Also rerolling 1 attack dice if you're fighting against a wizard or attacking a wizard. Really cool stuff. Last card that I see there is the Great Strength card, which I think it's a +1 damage because they really don't show it onto the picture there, with a range of 1 or 2 attacks. So, I mean, that could be critical. So, let's say you're fighting in a warband and you have an attack of 2, but they have 3 hit points to them. That makes your attack lethal now. So, if you have a damage of 2. So, that's really, really major. So things to consider if you actually play Warhammer Underworlds. I would really strongly encourage you, if you have a warband and some dice, to go and seek out a store that actually has these open play competitions, because what I find is they're relatively small in group and everybody walks away with something. So that's pretty cool. Now, I used to offer mine for free. They might charge you minimal pricing to actually get in and play the game. Again, I like being like the Santa Claus type, where I give away a lot of stuff, right? Anywho, let's get into, that's enough for the news. I do want to give an update for the t-shirts. So update on t-shirts is that I sent the actual master to be made. I sent it to the company, anything printed in Hagerstown, and they had told me that they are actually coming up with the masters and working on the design, so this way they can get them printed. The second I get them in my hand, I am shipping them out, and I will do an update video for you there. Maybe not an entire video, but I'll be included in the videos like I do here. So shirts are sent. I'm waiting for confirmation so we can get the ball rolling in there, get them, print them, and get them in your hands. I want to thank you immensely for supporting the Miniatures Paintbrush. If you bought a shirt, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you and you and you and you and you and all 26 shirts that those shirts are going to. Thank you, everyone who actually bought a shirt. Amazing, amazing support. And it's bringing us closer to our goal for getting the computer. We're somewhere around the, I think it's like $1,400 mark. Somewhere like that, if everything is calculated correctly and all the numbers and everything match up. Definitely amazing. Now, you cannot order another t-shirt. That's done. Nixed. Done. Over. If you wanted a t-shirt, you're going to have to wait possibly a year or 2 before I get another t-shirt running. So that's that. This was a drive to get to raise money for the channel so I can get the computer quicker, and it's really coming on way. We're almost like we're at that halfway point mark in order to get to the computer, which is really, really right there. Okay, amazing. One thing I wanted to talk about is cushions. Now, being that I sit a lot of time, I have a rolly chair, but I didn't want to really invest in a gaming chair. Some people have these gaming chairs, which are really cool. But I actually sit on this thing right here, which is not very good because after a while it kind of flattens out. But I did pick up a it's called Purple Pillow, and if you haven't seen the commercials, and I'm not sponsored by them by any means, but if you ever seen any of the commercials for them, it's literally a purple pillow. It's the material that you get from one of those Dr. Scholl's kind of inserts that you have. Not sponsored by them either, but it's like that material there, and you sit on it, and that gummy feeling, that kind of cushiony feeling, actually alleviates some pressure. And I found that it to be a pretty amazing product so far. I'll let you know in the next vlog after a week of use if it was any good or not while I use it for hobbying. But so far, Purple Pillow, purple cushion. I'm sorry. They also have pillows and mattresses and stuff like that, which I'm like checking into, especially the mattress. Because I'm getting back problems, not just from sitting like this, but I just normally have back problems. So I want to see what it's all about, the purple, and I'll let you know as far as cushioning. So if you want to get a new sitting area and you're uncomfortable in your seat and you don't want to buy an entire new chair, consider that. Consider getting a cushion, a really high quality cushion, to help you out there. All right, that being said, let's get into the main topic. And our main topic is crystal brush entries. So let me tell you a little bit about the crystal brush. So first off, this company called Cool Mini or Not, which has been around, first I've ever seen it was in the 90s. Before then, all I looked at is the Reaper website when it came to miniatures and watching the artists. Actually, they're pretty amazing, that paint up their miniatures on that site. And that was the only reference that I got of painted miniatures back then. That and the box art of Warhammer 40K. But although I did look at the Warhammer art style back then, and I really wasn't impressed. I looked at them up close and personal in the 90s, and I was like, this is not like beautifully done. This is done for Army tabletop standard, in my opinion. But yeah, the best ones I've ever saw were on that Reaper website. Then I started watching. I came across this one. It seemed like a quirky company. It says Cool Mini or Not, where they decide if something is cool or not. They had a rating system, and they had a whole bunch of miniatures on there in which you can grade, and fellow artists look at it and they give it like a point value system on what they think is overall the best one. And since artists are criticizing other artists, it seemed really fair, but the stuff there was actually mind-blowing, and it got me into painting miniatures to a higher quality. It actually inspired me to do so, to look into it and really get me into painting, and that was the draw there. So before then, I used to just build model cars, and not just, but scale modeling is huge. But I used to enjoy that, but not so much in the miniatures. But I love fantasy, and my brother actually had these pewter miniatures, and I was like, wow, it would be cool if I could actually paint them up so they can look realistic. So just like got me into it, and then I went into a shop in Manhattan and I saw them painted there, and there was a Golden Demon winner there who actually had his stuff painted. And again, transfixed me to the next level. So Cool Mini or Not was the place I used to go to get inspiration. Since then, they have actually grown exponentially. They put in a lot of different games that they put together, Zombicide, and all the kind of board games, stuff like that, Dark Age. I think there's another one that they put together, and there's a whole bunch of other games that they actually produce on the regular. And they have amazing assortment of games. But they also have this competition now they call the Crystal Brush. And the Crystal Brush became so huge, became the standard of painting miniatures, that that it's the biggest painting competition, in my opinion, in the United States. Where top artists come from around the world, giving the biggest wargaming event or miniatures gaming event in the country as well, Adepticon. So that's where they had it there. That was the major draw. And plus there's cash prizes if you win the painting competition as well. Again, monetizing this thing brings out the absolute best out there who want not only acknowledgement for their skills and their time, but they also want to be rewarded for that. There's another incentivized goal in order to come home with the gold and winning overall. So this competition is huge. There are other competitions. Reaper actually has their own. GW has one that's in Europe. It's called the Golden Demon. But I really, honestly, of all the trophies, you have the Crystal Brush, you have the Golden Demon. Slayer Sword is a really good. Cool. You actually get a sword if you win. That is, I think, the coolest award you can get. But second to that, as far as trophies are concerned, I think the Golden Sophie from Reaper Miniatures is the best looking one, in my opinion. And I've always wanted to get one of those. That would be amazing. Now, this is coming from a person who never won anything in his life. I never had a trophy for anything. I grew up in an age where participation did not get a trophy. And that's okay, because it's making me really work hard to earn a trophy. I just don't want it given to me. I want to earn it. I want to be like really good. So at what I do, period. So I'm working towards that. But the Crystal Brush itself is an amazing, amazing competition, being out the best artist, hands down, across the world. Now, there are other events, like at the Nova Open that I'm going to this year, and I'm submitting mine. It's called the Capital Palette, and that's like a road to the Crystal Brush. It's like a step you can take in order to get into. If you do well there, then go on to the next step and go for the Crystal Brush and see where you come up with when it comes to that, when it comes to painting. All right, so Crystal Brush. I'm going to start off with my boy, my man, my homie. I don't know what else to call it. My brother in arms, brother in paintbrush, Vince Venturola. And I couldn't be remiss not to mention that he did come home with a Crystal Brush. He got an award for his non-metallic, well, for his fire miniature. That's what it's called, and it's a chibi style painting. I don't think I've ever seen anything chibi style from Vince Venturola ever, and it's pretty neat. I love the way that the colors meld. First off, you start off with a female Kamazar. And I will put the link in the description for all these that I am going to be talking about. Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures with it because I'm recording this from my phone. I don't have my computer, so I can't really go into the pictures part. But I will put a link so you can see all the miniatures yourself. So his is Fire. It's in the chibi section there. Amazing miniature. I do like that is a female commissar. He does like painting female figures. The female figure is beautiful. And it's a tank, and I like the way that it's a diamond shape. Well, triangular shape like this, because it starts off with the Kamazar, the tip, the pinnacle, and it spreads out into that base. Now the base is a warm, muddy color going into the green, which is over the mid-tone, into the cold steel. I love the cold steel. The blues on that is just outrageous. The non-metallic metal on a chibi is absolutely amazing. It was very creative. I really enjoyed it. It's a very whimsical piece, and very, very Vince Venturola style-wise, as far as painting style-wise, very non-Vince Venturola in the actual piece, chibi, which completely threw me off. But it was just like, it's a fun piece to see. Check it out. All right, now, Richard Gray's Mortarion. To me, that should have won overall. It should have, in my opinion, because his Mortarion is the best Mortarion I have ever seen in my entire life. Richard Gray, I've seen progress pictures of him. It was actually mentioned, his work was mentioned on the Frost and Fist channel. Wolf Brother Mythos and Freak actually mentioned Richard Gray in one of their past long ago episodes. As one of the featured artists that they wanted to feature. It was amazing, amazing work. And we actually mentioned it on the Miniatures Paintbrush Hobby and Hangout. Ian came up with it, and he showed the picture of one of the wings where the iris itself actually has, it's split into three. So it's actually the symbol of Nurgle. And he said this is better than Crystal Brush, but no, my friend, Crystal Brush has gotten so huge that is Crystal Brush quality, and it didn't even win overall. So that just blows my mind, because that is amazing. Now I have a Mortarion in one of these boxes up here, but I don't think I could ever paint. I mean, I don't think I can paint that way yet. So I'd have to, and I'm going to build him before, I could get that good, because, I got to paint me some Nurgle. I do. I have to start that one of these days. Okay, so his Mortarion, love, stunning work. The eyes really make it pop out. But if you really look at it, the eyes are going to really, it's hard to look away from those eyes. They're so hyper-realistic. And all the detail work on the lattice kind of work that is tied into the wings of Mortarion. But Mortarion himself is actually amazing. I think he might have, I don't know. Like, I'm so drawn to the eyes that I don't look at the middle so much, because the eyes are just so gorgeous that my eyes are drawn to them, and not so much as Mortarion himself. That could have been something. I don't know if that lost him points or something like that. But it's absolutely beautiful, stunning work. Another one of my favorite artists, Ruben Martinez, is Ulrich the Slayer. First of all, Spaceballs. Ha! All right. Second of all, this thing looks real. It's hyper realistic. Like, you can look at it. When I look at that miniature there, it makes me feel cold. Like, I look at it and the cold kind of transfers over, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's Ulrich the Slayer, and it's the best Ulrich the Slayer I've ever seen, ever. Um, Amazing, amazing work, Ruben Martinez on Ulrich the Slayer. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, Sergio Calvo. All right, his Darnassus aspirant. The pelt on the saber-tooth dragon is, first of all, it's a purplish color, which really rolls well with the greenish background and little waterfall coming down for the scenery. But that saber-tooth tiger is just amazing. It looks like fur. It looks shiny and ethereal, almost. No, more like fantasy. Just un not of this earth kind of saber-toothed tiger. The pastel kind of colors really, really, really pop. Again, those darkish greens with that pastel popping really makes it stand out. I'm totally drawn to the face of the saber-toothed tiger, but the saber-toothed tiger is so huge. And then you have the rider. Now, the rider kind of reminds me of a World of Warcraft where elf, where you have the eyelashes like going, all the actual eyebrows going straight out like that, and having that color. So that was pretty cool to see that setting. Beautiful, beautiful work from Sergio Calvo, but he has always done beautiful, beautiful work. All right, Michael Piscacari. Piscacari. Hope I'm saying that right. But his, actually, two works. Seraphim the Hunter. Let's start off with that. That's a bust, and it's a vampire. And anything that I've ever thought of a Nosferatu kind of ugly, kind of menacing, monstrous vampire, this enables. But this is a big but. Now, the skin tones are ethereal. It looks realistic. It looks like it's going to bite me. But the thing is that it's chivalrous. And the meaning of the chivalrous is because it has night plate on it, red night plate with all these scuffs. He's been in so many wars and battles. He looks like a noble knight, but he's hideous to look at, like truly stuff of nightmares. And the colors that he used on it is amazing, with the lighter gray, that livery kind of green, that Escarpina green kind of color, which I really like using for my Death Army. I just love using that color. It really makes it pop, especially like some purple. But he used it with, I guess, the grayish, bluish gray of the skin tone really contrasted well with that green, and then the red, oh my gosh, it just really popped right there. Love that piece, Michael. And then the Faces of Death. Wow. The story that the Faces of Death actually tells is of a warrior, and the warrior is dying. The warrior's on his knees on a cliff. The cliff is red. He's looking up in adulation. He has 3 arrows in his back. You can imagine this is the moment where his heart is just stopping because his lungs are punctured, and he's he's just dying. And the reason why I say he's definitely dying is not just because of all the others, but the life of a warrior is in his sword. And you see him let go of his sword, like his work is done. Well done, good and faithful servant. And the angel is coming from a stairway that's coming from the heavens, coming to meet him. And that piece, I think, is an ascension piece, I think. I'm not sure. But I know I've seen that piece before. I think Vince Venturella painted it years ago. But that's those two models put together. Him let going the sword, telling the story, his final moments, meeting, going over to meet his maker on his knees, really really tells the story. His facial expressions tell the story that he knows that he's done his job, because now he gets the reward of eternity, of eternal bliss. And it's just beautiful. It's just absolutely beautiful, the story that he tells there. Love it, love it, love it. Faces of Death, one of my favorite models. Okay, Jonathan Hume. And I have to say ours is the Fury. Now this is a fun piece, and it's a chibi piece, and I like it for a couple of reasons. Reason number one is the eyes are small. And you think chibi, you think large eyes, but the eyes are small. His cheeks are big, and his fun beard is all, it's fiery orange, and I love the skin tones. The skin tones are just out of the park realistic. His non-metallic metal work absolutely phenomenal. And another thing that ties it in, he has a flag, and on the flag he has the symbolism of a stag with a flaming heart. Kind of reminds me of Stannis Baratheon. Now I'm reading A Storm of Swords, which is the third book from A Game of Thrones. And I listen to that on audiobook while I paint. So it just reminds me of Stannis Baratheon, but in a chibi style. I just thought it was really, really cool. Stannis Baratheon is from the Game of Thrones, if you didn't know that. Great story. You should read it and then watch the series as well. So that was a great fun piece, Michael, Jonathan Ewan. Fury is ours. All right, Benjamin Cantor. Oh, Benjamin Cantor. You just play around with scenes that are, and the scenery. Like, he does diorama pieces beyond diorama pieces. I believe his was the Nagash sitting on the throne last year that I think won it all. Was it 2017 Crystal Brush? I think that was his. But his scenery work, the way he does his darks are like, it's night dark. It's hard to explain, but he has a OSL effect in there. He has a brazier getting knocked over, and I mean, I just really laughed when I saw the name of it. It's called Daddy Issues, and what happens is that this girl, which I'm thinking is the daughter, because daddy issues, right? Or the queen, I don't know, possibly. But she beheads the king, and actually is holding the king's head in her hand while the king is laying on the foot of the throne right there. I guess she's taking over the throne. But there's a brazier that kind of falls. The fire is kind of lighting up the background, and that light being pressed into the background is the OSL effects, the lights, the reds, the yellows, the way they dance off of different objects in there, and everything else is kind of dark and grim and almost like tied down, or not tied down, I would say more like a grayscale-ish kind of color. There's a lot of darks in there, but that OSL is perfect. The way it dances off of the objects and the way it reflects, it's almost as if he built the scene and then he took a picture of it with a light source and how it just shines upon things to really create that light. Like, I think maybe he took a brazier. I don't know. He must have come up with a scene where he saw that and actually replicated that, because I can't imagine a mind that would think of how light dances in that way and just commit it to memory. Like, I would love to see his process with this. Excellent diorama piece, fun. I laughed when I saw it as well, not because it was something funny to behold, but Daddy Issues was the perfect title for that diorama. Okay, so finally, Steven Garcia, I want to say Perseus is the model. Check that out. And it's actually like an Infinity type of futuristic model, right? And what he has his guns out blazing, and he's getting sucked out into space because the hangar is open. He's getting sucked out into the void of space. You see all the motion occurring around him where their items actually getting dragged up and sucked up with him, and he's just shooting his last two as he's going out the door. It's like the epic pose. The way the metal is actually done on the inside of the hangar looks so realistic, so amazing, and it conveys so much motion in there. It's amazing. Even if you look on the side angle there, you can see where the actual piece attaches to the body, so it looks like he's floating in air, and it's painted to the effect that it blends in so well. You have to look really hard in order to notice that it's actually attached to something. But yeah, definitely an amazing piece that conveys all that motion and emotion, even though he's wearing a helmet. You can only imagine what the actual character in the scene is actually thinking and feeling because of his body pose and his action, his last desperate act to, I guess, destroy whatever it is that it's attacking him. Amazing, amazing piece. Loved it all. There was so many different pieces for the Crystal Brush this year. I think if I were to enter a Crystal Brush entry, I would do it on their... Well, actually, they had one entry that was called Cool Mini or Not. It was A Song of Ice and Fire, TMG, which is actually featuring their products. Those models being painted looks less intimidating than the Crystal Brush entries, and if I was going to win one anything, I think it would be at that level right there, or the Young Talent, but I'm too old for that. Speaking of young talent, there was a Grimnar, Logan Grimnar painted up. Pretty good work right there, young sir. Space Wolves for life. All right. Anywho, that's almost about it. I did want to mention one little thing. The Lord Discordant came out, and I didn't mention in the news, but I do want to say a little something about the Lord Discordant. And hopefully I'm saying that right. Demon Engines. If you have your Mauler Fiends, your Forge Fiends, or your Khorne Lord of Skulls, it's going to give you heals the Demon Engine. It heals your Demon Engine, and it gives you +1 aura ability to hit for the Demon Engine. So if you have that, if you're a Chaos guy, and Tom, I know you're out there, you're a Chaos guy, and I did get the Shadow Spear set over there, and the Chaos dudes, you know, yeah, he's doing this thing called, which I totally wish he's successful with. Not buying any new models until you finish painting the models that you have. That's amazing, dude. That's amazing. I tried that. Didn't work. But, you know, it's amazing stuff. Your half is over here if you ever wanted to pick it up and ready to go. Although I've been looking through the box sets, and they actually have a Nurglified one of those. I forgot the name of it. I don't know, bro. If I start my Death Guard, finish my Death Guard, then I might paint those up if you didn't pick them up yet. Which might be years down the road, figuring the way I paint and how I paint. Anywho, I know that was out of order. I really apologize for that. Anywho, if you like this video, like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time on the Miniatures Paintbrush.